I think you know everyone up here. I don't need to introduce anyone up here. But I want to say to you how very pleased I am to have this opportunity to interact with you as I had committed to on my return from the United Nations. Unfortunately, we were supposed to start at 11, but there's still an ongoing meeting with heads of CARICOM on the important subject of reparation. So I'm in and out of that meeting. But this morning, I really wanted to give you as much time to distill your views, to share your ideas with me on a few things. One, on our education sector in its totality. What are some of the weaknesses and challenges you see? What are some of the good things you see? And how we can overcome those challenges, especially dealing with issues of mathematics and so on. Then to tell me some of the things that would improve the conditions, infrastructure, not only for yourselves, but for your students, create a more enabling environment for learning. And of course, importantly, how we can develop a holistic strategy on the improvement of your welfare and well-being. Looking at these core areas and sharing some ideas and sharing your views as we work towards strengthening our education system and, more importantly, improving your welfare and well-being. So I wanted this opportunity to hear directly from you, hear your thoughts and your views. So this is meant to be a very open, free-flowing meeting. And then at the end of it, of course, I will share some general views with you. I'm pleased to inform you before, though, that I had committed to ensure the issue of the anomaly that existed in the minimum wage applicable for different teachers in the system be corrected retroactively from 1st of September 2020, when the responsibility was given to me as president and to this government. I can go back to when we took that responsibility. And this correction would require an investment of $700 million. And I'm committing to you that this will be, this $700 plus million will be incorporated in the salaries of those teachers in October. So I want to bring that to your attention. There's another adjustment that we are making that will be applicable in the same time period. I think they're just finalizing the calculation, and I'll tell you about that. So I want to give you the opportunity. You know, we had earlier this year adjusted the salaries for our men and women in uniform, our healthcare workers. Not only their salaries, but to define an incentivized system where persons, and many teachers now, all the teachers have the opportunity to become trained teachers, trained graduate teachers, and this must incrementally add to your value. And those are some of the things that we are looking at from a holistic perspective. So I want you to use this opportunity. At any point you think that we can move to a working lunch where you can have your lunch and continue the discussion, I'm open for that. But I want to give you as much of you an opportunity to speak, share your ideas, then I'll speak to you and we'll work out the mechanism moving forward. Is that fair? Are we together? Yes. All right, so the floor is all your... before I go, I know that that International Teachers' Day is the 5th. So we are having early lunch. Uh, so imagine Miss asking me for holiday again. So the floor is all yours now, okay? If you can just tell us which school, your name, and if you're a union branch member, just tell us which one of the branches and your designation so that we will know who is speaking to us also. Are we all together on that? Then the floor is yours. We have some mics on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe what we can do, in order to have some order, we start from one corner of the room. We start from one corner of the room and we rotate until we finish and we come back. Is that fair? So we start from the left corner of the room. Over here. 1, 2, 3. These 1, 2, 3, 4 tables. Here. Anyone in this area would like to speak?
Good morning, everyone. I am Kamraj Darmwati, head teacher with Hill Primary School, region number 10. Over the years, sir, I have noticed great development taking place in the education system. And particularly for the past 2 years or so, I have seen lots of great initiatives taking place. Some of which are the textbook for schools, cash grant for the children. I have also seen cash grant for teachers, teachers' independence. I know that is going to transform. It's a transformative initiative, and all teachers are very much happy about that. However, so much has been done for teachers being comfortable in the classroom and for the children. But my concern, what is being done for our teachers personally? And so I am asking for our remuneration to be considered. And one of the things this morning when we were coming from Linden in the bus, we were discussing it would be a nice thing if teachers at the end of the year can be given a double salary like our counterparts, or if not a double salary, if we can have a tax-free salary at the end of the year. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else in this area?
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Mr. President and other members of the head table. Germanica Clark Moore, New Silver City Secondary, HOD Science. Since the tragic Madhya fire, there was a lot of consultations, visiting of schools, but to date, nothing has been done to my school. The main building is a wooden one. And within the classroom, there are a lot of live hanging wires. And I would be very happy if that can be looked into. The firefighters came, they checked the fire extinguishers. They said they need replacing, but to date, nothing was done.
So we have transferred $1.5 billion to the Ministry of Education to fix these issues in dorms, in teachers' quarters, and in schools also. The maintenance budget also includes schools. So I don't know, they have a long list and they have a prioritized list. As you know, we can't do everything at the same time. So I'll ask them to see, to make a list, actually before you leave here, I want to see if we can get a list of everything we are doing in that budget. All the dorms, all the school, everything we are doing in that budget, and we'll share it with the staff.
So we've completely redone Linden Foundation law.
So let's wait. Let's get a list so we'll share it with them. Right?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. President, Honorable Minister of Education, other senior officials. I am Chandrina Welcomely, Principal of the Bishop's High School. Mr. President, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for all the development and improvement that we've seen over the years in education. And also thank you very much for representing us so well as you dealt with the repatriation at the international stage. I was so proud. I am so proud. Thank you very much. So there are not a lot of things to ask for in education because it seems as though our Minister of Education and CEO are preempting us in a lot of areas. So I would just like to say thanks for the 2 deputies that we will be receiving, the extra SM, the reduction in periods. I assure you that the measures that are put in place will help to improve our teaching and learning environment. And today, I just want to say thank you very much.
Anyone else here?
Good morning. My name is Donna Lois Isles, Principal of St. Stanislaus College.
You
Yes,
turn it on
Mr.
to
President. I want to say it's indeed an honor to be here. We feel honored that we were invited to State House. I really appreciate our Minister of Education. I think she's someone who really has her feet on the ground. However, I was reviewing some of the things that we can ask for, and being a wife of a former police officer, you know, I would always put our pay slips together. And so the teachers, we only get one salary, we get a big gross. But after deduction, we are looking thin. While the policemen and the military officers, they look nice because they have all these little things like housing allowance, committed overtime, meal allowance, laundry allowance, a whole lot going for them.
I gotta check really good on here for that.
And I think we need to review that for our teachers. So see what we can do for our teachers. If we can have, I know we are not traveling officers. We were always told that, so we cannot have traveling. But then we can have something else added to our salary. For example, we usually get clothing allowance once a year, which is $8,000. Can only buy a pair of shoes at this time. So maybe we can look at that. You know, that's a good start for us. And so that is where we'd like to see us. I was saying World Teachers Day is coming up, and we can partner with DDCell or GT&T and give all teachers, if it's $1,000 in their phone, a nice top-up, say, coming from the President of Guyana. We will all smile and say thank you. And so those are some little things we can look at, and it will make a difference. But I want to say thank you for inviting us, and we are really honored. I thank you.
So your idea is that, which I understand, because when we talk to a lot of workers, this is the idea you get from them, is that we should focus more on allowances.
Correct.
That add to the more net income and not the gross
Yes.
income. Am I hearing her right?
Correct. Because to be honest, Mr. President, when we get increase, I personally don't believe in increasing salary because Mr. Stacia is always there waiting on us. And so when we talk...
Mr. Stacia is a good man.
So when we talk increase, the tax man is there. But then we can look, if we're going to have increase, then we need to increase the threshold.
Right.
I believe we can go to 500,000 because
Lord.
we are not there.
Mercy.
So we won't have to pay a tax.
But you know what happened there? You justify the whole Dutch disease. But I get you that what you are saying, and I see all the nods here, that we should focus on the net outcome and not the gross outcome. And your idea is more allowances, right? Great. So if there is no one here, okay, one more.
A blessed good morning to all, His Excellency, our Minister of Education and other members of the head table. I am Shondell Ferreira, a teacher of New Campbellville Secondary. I must join with my colleagues in saying or expressing our gratitude for being here today. Indeed, it's an honor. And it is something that we will not take lightly, for the fact that you would have invited us here. You want to hear from us. We are the ones who are on the ground, who have to interface with teachers and parents and guardians and students. Okay? Now, one of our grave concern is some of the challenges experienced as it relates to learning difficulties at our school. In particular, I know we are here to make a difference, and with the help of God, I firmly believe we will. However, the natural and supernatural must go together. So we must do our parts as teachers. And I know for certain that the Ministry of Education is doing their part. We can always reach out to our district education officer, the principal education officer, and so forth. But what I would have observed from my tenure thus far at New Campbellville Secondary, many of the students, they have grave learning difficulties, disabilities. Now, some of the students, and I must be honest because we need to say what exactly is happening at our school, all right? Now, some of our students, and I'm talking particularly grade 7 learners, I would have had engagement with my grade 7 teachers, and I was showed some of the exercise books, notebooks, and some of those students, I was seeing symbols. And that's a sad state that we're in. I would have had meetings with our staff, and some of the teachers would have indicated their interest in having after-school sessions with some of our students. But I know that alone may not suffice. We need more intervention. I would have also spoken to our district education officer, Mr. Calvin Delph. So it will be a plus for us, and not only for us, and I would want to believe the grades, the list B and D and C schools, because many of those schools, I would want to believe, do experience those difficulties. So whenever it's possible, if we can have reading specialists assigned to those schools, that will help us a great deal. Much thanks, and I pray that the favor of God will continue to be on your lives and the lives of all of us. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Miss. So, what you have described is worrying also. So, I will ask Major Simpson, where is he? Who is the Secretary of the Men on Mission program, to talk to you. We have lots of influential figures on the Men on Mission program, and for them to work with you an after-school program and an in-school program to work with these children. So you'll have colonels from the Army, senior persons from the police force, and also with the parents. And for us to do an assessment of the communities also and see if we need to work within the communities themselves. So Major Simpson will work with you, and we will launch a specific program on the Men on Mission to deal with your situation. All right? All right, good. So take the information. And I want this launch within a week, okay? Yeah, anyone else from this area? Then we go to these 3 tables here. 1, 2, 3. Yes, please.
Good morning, Mr. President, the head table, everyone. Happy Teachers' Day in advance. I am Joyce Paul, head teacher of Canapang Primary School, Region 8, our lovely Region 8. Mr. President, I would like to say thank you for all the work that you have done, along with Ministry of Education, Ms. Priya, and Mr. CEO. Thank you very much. We have our new school buildings in certain villages, and thank you for the cash grant, and I know we're expecting more as teachers. Mr. President, we would like to say thank you for installation of TVs, learning channels, but we would like to have the persons to, for us to have the access, right?
The Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi for each schools, especially in our region. It's really tough there. And we would like to have internet access, especially now that we have renewed curriculum. And in our curriculum guides, we have links, YouTube links, for us to have access, but we cannot have that now. So we would like to have internet access, and for us, the teachers, to do more research, and also for us to be given the opportunity to do online classes, or for us to do masters and so on, right, Region 8 teachers? We would like to have the same opportunity as how you
I
people
agree.
are having on the
I
coast.
agree, totally.
We cannot be there all the time. We are part of one Guyana, right, Mr. President?
I agree totally.
Yes.
I agree.
So,
I agree
yes.
100%. So,
So
I'm going to
we're-
instruct the members from the Gold Scholarship Program, if we have to start a distance program for the teachers in Region 8, to have access to education programs that we have on the Gold program, whether it's degree or master's program, that they do so immediately to them. All these teachers must be enrolled on the program once they want to be enrolled on the program.
Thank you, Mr.
We
President.
have to find a way to make it happen.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think, let me see. Oh, and also, Mr. CEO, I messaged you once, but you threw me off. Anyway, we would like to have laptops or computers, whatever that you can give us, for us to complete our documents software, because presently they need us to send our documents as soft copies. Where we are in Region 8, let's say we have to send our documents or reports within 7 days. It's not reaching on time to our cluster officer. Within 5 days it will reach because of transportation also. We need transportation. I'm from a different village, but working in a different village also, and it's really tough on me to get home for holidays, and I have no transportation, even the village. And it's really, I was showing Mr. CEO, I have marks on my knee. I fell yesterday coming on the bike. I really punished yesterday. I'm in pain, Mr. President. Oh yeah, so we have Mr. Marty D'Souza. I think they spoke to him concerning transportation. We have learners coming to the main school, like they have to walk 3 hours, 4 hours, and no transportation, no access to any form of transportation. So we were asking, even if you cannot provide ATV or cruiser, whatever that is, we need at least bicycles.
But
I think that would help them.
But all these villages, I think, by now got the transportation the government has provided. We have to check?
No.
Right, so that is what I'll check. I'll check because we are providing transportation for all the villages, all the Amerindian villages. So I'll check in Region 8 which villages did not get us yet, and let us see how we can fast track that.
Can I say something on that part, Mr. President? Even if the village has the bike, it's...
Not bike. This is not a bike.
Okay. It's like not every day they would have the children would have access there. We need, especially for the school, in school's name, not village council or whatever, in school's name. Thank you. That's all for on part of Region 8.
So we're still on these 3 tables.
Mr. President, members of the head table, colleagues, a blessed morning to you all. I'm Odessa Paul from Parmakatoy Secondary, HL. My concerns are all teachers normally have to wait 4 years for weekly counsel. And as an incentive to motivate us a little more, I kindly ask if considerations can be given to have the 4 years reduced to every 3 years. Additionally, I was listening to my colleagues that they're talking about basically a welfare program for teachers, and I'm in support of same. I was telling some of my colleagues I don't really believe in increase since, when the salary increase, everything else increases. So it's like we're at square one. So I'd like to know if we can be given maybe like a welfare card. So should we go to a private hospital? Should we go do groceries? Should we go to courts to buy something? We can at least have a 20%, discount. And I think that would be much more beneficial than, a lot of other things. So, and my final concern before the mic comes back to my table is our special educational needs program in schools. We have a lot of children that have special educational needs, and without proper training, we're unable to identify who they are. But then as teachers, we may get frustrated if they're hyperactive or if they seem a bit slower than the average. So I am suggesting if we can have special schools for these children. Well, before we arrive at the special schools, if we can screen the children in the school. I know we've started with the nursery, which is a very good initiative, and I applaud that. But what about the balance of the students who we may not know, they may have a learning disability? So if we can screen them and if we can start working with them, and at times if they have a learning disability, they might be very good at practical things. So we can see where their strengths are and try to develop them in a way in which they can also make meaningful contributions to society. So I'd really like special attention to be given to the special educational needs program in the school. Minister and team, I applaud you for all the work that you're doing, and I look forward, and the team looks forward to working with you continuously for the betterment of our country. Thank you.
Good morning, His Excellency and the Honorable Minister. My name is Yvonne Gomes, Senior Mistress at Paramakatoi Primary School in Region 8. Before I ask for anything, I would like to express my sincere gratitude on behalf of the school for the tremendous work that your government has done in the education system. Now, my first concern is we are in dire need of an extension of the school because we are currently overcrowded. The village was small, but it's growing, so we have an increase in pupils every year. So at this point, we are 7 classrooms short. So that is what we will. Another is the fencing of the school. The schools are at risk. The property of the school is being damaged by, especially during nights. So that is another thing we would like to have. Last but not least on the long list, we have water supply. We need water supply at this school for the children and for the kitchen, the school feeding program. So that's it besides the salary increases, which you have already mentioned. Thank you.
No, but tell me, let me hear from you. I like the ideas I'm hearing. Like when people speak about salary, they speak about allowances. Okay? Moving to more allowances, looking at a net outcome. What are your views? You support those views, or?
I strongly support that view. Yes.
Okay, great.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Anything but a holiday.
No. Minister of Education, head table, colleagues all. I'm Ms. Balwanti Bastille, DHM, Lusignan Primary. My main concern is the grade 1 and 2, they receive juice and biscuits. The grade 6, they get a snack. Now the grades 3, 4, and 5, looking around and begging, and every time if we have extras, they come in to beg. So I don't know if we can venture into the, or look into the grades 3, 4, and 5, if we can give them something. I don't know. So, yes. Now for my school, it's a good building, but it needs a facelift. Inside, it's dark. In the classroom, we have open out classroom, but it's very dark. Ventilation, we need more windows on the lower flat. So, Mr. President, if you can get some lights, I don't know, somebody to put some more windows on the lower flat, so it's going to be brighter. Or we have a facelift or some paint, so we can paint it. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, Mr. President and the head table. I'm Ann Martin from Cato, which is in Region 8. Now, my concern would be on the internet. Actually, we have an IT hub, which is situated near to the school, but along with computers, but no internet. So I would like to ask that the internet be installed as soon as possible, because that would be helpful for us there at the school. Since when we want to send reports or whatever, do research with the children, we don't have any form of internet there. And it is very difficult for us teachers there, because we have to spend our money to buy code in order to send these messages and other things. I also support, as what the other teachers would have talked about, the increase of the salary, because right now, even though we would have a lot of increases, like every year, the prices at the shops or whatever that is found in our community is very high also. For example, we have gas, and that is for the cooking. So it's like $15,000 for a cylinder of gas, and which is like a part of the salary would be going there. So things like that,
it's
it
because
would
of
cover
the
up.
transportation cost to take it in there.
Right.
I see some of you look shocked. So
I would also support that, and that is my concern. Thank you very much.
So let me get something, because you raise an issue there that ignited thought. You are of the view, given the realities of Region 8 and the circumstances that you have in Region 8, with the high cost of transportation, moving goods into Region 8. And when I say 8, maybe we can extend this to other hinterland areas. That what might be better for you is an allowance that gives you the opportunity to have your gas taken care of.
Yes, that would be
Than
grateful.
coming out from your net salary position. I'm just asking, I'm not telling you. So I just want to have clarity in my head. So when I'm thinking about a holistic approach, because the approach that I believe is most beneficial to all the teachers in a one Guyana circumstance has to be applicable to where you're from, because your circumstances is different from where you're from, right? So I want to get that clear, that is their thought process now.
Yes, that would be grateful, Region 8 teachers.
And no other teacher should look angry, and I don't want angry-looking people. All of you have the opportunity to speak. You know what I mean? This is an open mic. So Do so happily. All right, thank you. So we move to the next person.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, good morning, everyone, Mr. President and the head table. I am a teacher from Cato Secondary School, Region 8. And as a teacher from Cato Secondary School, I have a lot of concerns, Mr. President. So one of my concerns, or our concern at Cato Secondary School, is a great need for more teachers, trained teachers.
So you have you have qualified people within the community?
Yes, there are
Well, I'm
people.
very disappointed who have applied for teaching.
They did
So I'm
apply,
very
but
disappointed in Ministry of Education at this point because I gave an instruction that once you have qualified persons from the communities in the hinterland who want to enter the teaching profession, that we bring them on with immediate effect. And we give them the opportunity to be trained. So I want you to give us a list of all those persons who've applied. CEO, are you guys implementing this? But here the teacher is saying that you have qualified persons who applied. Continue.
yes. So right now, currently at the school, there are only 15 teachers. And we have a lot of students there to teach, right? And it is very hard on us. And
how much should be your full complement?
the students?
How much should be your full complement of teachers? You have 15.
How many should be there? Like 40 something teachers
No,
in
no,
the
don't
school.
guess. I want the number. Yeah, but she should know. Is there a head teacher from this school here?
No,
So any teacher from that school know?
just
The CEO, you know what should be their full complement?
yes.
45.
Yes, and another one, as it relates to the teachers there, is that we need accommodation for teachers. Because right now, all we're doing is recruiting teachers from the coastland, right?
Why?
I do not know why.
No, I'm talking to Ashley. The mic picked me up there. Why this is not on the list? The minister is saying to me that as of now we don't have any pending application from Region 8 for teachers. All right? The ministers just told me that. So we have to reconcile that with what you're saying. I operate from a position of facts and data. That is how I operate. I don't operate by guess. Right? Good.
Okay.
Yes, this region has the teachers' quarters in lazy region.
Is it in the list?
It's on the list, but none have been done as yet.
But it's in the list to be done.
Yes.
And we have the money. That is under the money we have.
Yes, another concern is that we, from Cato Secondary School, the teachers from the village, we walk for 45 minutes to reach to the school, right? We walk. It is very far, and right now with the climate change, you know what is happening, right? The place is very hot. So at 6:30, the sun will be up and shining. And then we and our students have to walk from our homes to the school, which is very, you know what?
It's true. But let me explain something to you because I think we need to explain this. Sometimes we get carried away that the teachers on the coast don't have challenges. So the teachers on the coast really sometimes travel 2 hours to get to work or an hour. But in their instance, they use money from their salary to pay public transportation to go there, or they buy a motorbike, or they buy a car, or they own something that comes out of their salary. So it's not that there's a special thing that takes them to school and give them a distinct advantage. So everything has pros and cons. There's weight to everything. So I understand your circumstances. In the hinterland, we have been investing as much as possible in giving transportation, allowing that transportation, giving the hinterland special grants for teachers working in those areas. So they're also faced with the heat out here, right? Like right now, it's very hot. So, but your circumstances we understand, and we are working towards it. But also, we can look for matter of fact as to how we create an incentive system. I know the teachers in Leg 1, in Wakenham, for example. They all have a motorcycle. They ride. All of them ride. For matter of fact, it is a female teacher who taught me to ride motorbike in Leg 1. So you have these options that we can look at that can make life easier for you. You ride motorbike? But I'm sure you would learn to ride. Right? So we have to find solutions that are applicable to the circumstances. Right? Sometimes, like in Region 8, you have some areas that are so hilly that it makes no sense to own a motorbike. Right? So, but I don't want you to believe that there really is a different mechanism for teachers on the coast. For them to get to school, there's a cost, public transportation, they use their own. In the hinterland, we assist as far as possible, right? So we also have to empower you to own your own pieces of assets in the hinterland, so that you own your own bike. You see how we can work on getting teachers maybe to own their own ATV, if they live in a community that they can use an ATV that can help you and your children and your family. And if you have farming also, you can use it on the farm. So we have to move into a mode of finding a more livelihood-oriented solution to the problem, right?
All right, thank you, Mr.
I
President.
just want to share those ideas so you can think a bit broader also.
Yeah, so those were some of my concerns. Thank you very much for listening.
Right. So in conclusion, I can say that for teachers in the hinterland, if you were 45 minutes away from your school in a village, that's 45 minutes walking. And you have a bike, it might become 15 minutes or something, right? That you would want to propose a mechanism through which we look at solutions along these lines. Am I hearing that? To teachers in the hinterland, I want to hear you loud and clear. Good, thank you very much. You agree with that too, right?
Yes, Mr.
All
President.
right, goodness. Yeah.
His Excellency Dr. Irfaan Ali, Honorable Minister Priya Manichan, members of the head table, colleagues all, pleasant morning to you. My name is Natasha Beard. I am from Madia Secondary School, and I have a long list of concerns, which I'll try to briefly summarize. The first thing on my agenda here is we have a lack of human resources at Madia Secondary School. We need more trained teachers and staff.
Tell me how many. How many you're supposed to get, how much you have?
We're supposed to have about 35, and we have presently 22 on staff, but not all are. Some are seconded, some are on training.
Even if they're seconded, you have 22 on staff now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're seconded away.
Away from the school, so that's still, they're not there.
So in November this year, you're graduating more than 2,300
Okay.
more than 300 are coming from
So, Minister just informed me that in November? In November this year, we'll be graduating 2,300 trained teachers that will now go back into the system, and that will ease a lot of this problem that you have. So 2,300 new trained teachers will be added to the system, all right?
Okay, that would be great if some could come to Madia.
Well, I heard some are from Madia, actually.
Okay, presently we have a need for a a specialist in reading and mathematics, because we have a great problem there in that case. I am teaching business, and I would have had to, there are students reaching grade 10 and don't know how to read. And that poses a problem for all the other subject areas. So there is great need for a reading specialist, starting from the nursery, primary, and secondary as well. Because that's where the problem starts from, at the nursery. So there is great need for a reading specialist and also the maths, in the maths area. We need an extension of the building at Madia Secondary School. Recently, the ministry added some subjects like music and sports, and there is no, we also have foreign language. There is no teacher for those subjects, the foreign language and the sports and the reading. So people just take up the position and they try to do what they have to do. There is a great need for the extension of the school. We have to have a special room for the music classes, because if you have it near to the other classroom, that would be too much of noise and it's a distraction. We would also like to have, I know the feeding program is at the primary school, but we will be grateful if it can come to the secondary school as well, the feeding program, because there are some students coming from far-flung areas who will have to be there and have to go home back and return, and some stays there without lunch and so forth, and you have to find all ways and means of helping them. Also, there's need for HODs at the secondary school. For instance, social studies, home economics, all these facilities need to be furnished. The home economic department, we do not have a science lab, so that is needed. That is something that is needed right now. We have never had a science lab, so we just make do with what we have. Also, the facilities in general needs to be upgraded in the classroom. We all know that the place is very hot and the classrooms are very hot. There's need for fans. And this could help settle the learners. We can have attention if they are comfortable. So there's facilities like fans that are greatly needed in school. We also need a proper water filter system so that we can have potable water in the school. Also, there's need for teachers' quarter at Madia, and I know that persons want to come, but then there's no facilities for them to stay. There's no teacher quarters. Even though we have a few, it's already occupied. And we also need other resources. Now, these are small things, but I'm still going to put it forward. We also need like small things like calculators, the booklets and so forth. Right? We'll be grateful if we can have those. Also, I'm asking that if Madia Secondary School can have like a counselor. Well, everybody know the tragedy that we recently faced, and
No. Let's stop there. Because we have to be very honest on this issue. We have invested as a government heavily in counselors. We have counselors in the villages. We brought in specialist counselors. Priya, how many counselors that we brought in total?
So Mount
Sinai trained counselors. Plus, we have established at the hospital itself a support mechanism for children, parents, and community.
As well as in the village.
Right, as well as in the village. So you should be aware that we had a very wide-ranging apparatus that we have set up for the counseling at that area. All right?
Okay, well, when I go back, I'll have to check to see. You said at the hospital there.
In the villages, there were counselors. There's a hotline that people can call. In the school, at the hospital, we set up counselors. And this is, you should be aware of this. If you're being fair, you should be aware of this.
Okay, so I'll move on to I'm not sure if this could happen, but I'm just suggesting that schools need medical personnel, like.
Then the hospital might tell me they need teachers. So you see, in a government, systems has to work. We can't, when you're having a meeting like this, we have to focus on policies and focus on the big picture, right? You have to spend time see how the teachers focus on the big picture, making a clear distinction between what is gross income and net income. You see, in countries, systems must work, and systems must become interconnected. That is why you have health centers, health outposts, in communities that you have schools, and they must interrelate, and they must work seamlessly across each other. So similarly, you can tell me that not only a health worker, you want a fireman post at every school, because there's a possibility of a fire. So countries can't operate like that, right? We have to allow systems and institutions to work and build those systems and institutions to work so they can support each other, right?
Okay,
great.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Before I leave too, I would like to suggest on the welfare of teachers that teachers, I support all the other points that the other teachers would have made, and I would like to add the housing. Teachers that would be a great incentive if we can have access to have lands and so that we can own our own houses instead of paying rents.
But you have that opportunity by applying in the system, right? Now, you can apply at the Ministry of Housing for a house lot. So it's not a function of not having the opportunity to apply. Maybe you want a mechanism, and that's why we have to be frank, a mechanism that separates teachers and look at teachers as a separate group in the application process. So it's not a function of not having, because all of you here might have an application, but some have an application, a year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. That is the issue, right? Great, okay.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. So that is what you're proposing, that a mechanism be separate to deal with teachers' housing. Am I hearing that right?
Good day, everyone. Andrea Smith, HD Acting Information Technology at the St. Ignatius Secondary School, Region Number 9.
Just 1 second. So, what I can ask the CEO to do for me now is to check in the entire school system to see all the teachers who would have had an allocation made to them of a piece of land, but they don't have the bank loan, or the bank is giving them a hard time. And we deal with that as a category. We bring those teachers together. I bring the bank in the same room with them, and we do one exercise where we have the bank approve all the loans on one day at a special rate, and we negotiate that, right? So let's do that as one category, where we take the teachers who already have an allocation. Then the second category is teachers who have an application that is before, what is the year they're looking at? Before 2019, I think. Teachers who have an application before, we have to do it in categories, right? Before 2019, and we find a solution to that, and then beyond that, right? So that's how we look at the housing scenario. All right?
$200 million in accounts.
Yeah, well.
Head table, fellow colleagues, pleasant good afternoon. At St. Ignatius Secondary School, we have a few concerns that was raised by the staff. On my list, number 1 talks about the expansion of our school. Our school, when it was built to accommodate a small population that we had.
How much?
probably 500 estimated.
How much you have
Now our school is taking on average approximately 1,100 students. So we are in
I
dire
keep
need
telling
of a
Ashley
building.
something is wrong with our population number. Because if you have 1,100 there, we are definitely...
So that was there when all these schools had their...
So you have, and you're sure about
This is on roll, yes,
You have
sir.
1,100
Yes,
students
sir.
on roll.
Yes.
All right. So 500 and you have 11.
which is expected to finish by next year. Some of the people you said
Yes,
don't-
this our students right now, they are housed under tents.
Yeah, but your
Or-
school also is a catchment for students from Karasabai and so on?
From the entire central Rupununi.
Okay, so that will
not
be-
just
that will
Karasabai.
solve.
Karasabai falls in north.
Right, so you will lose a lot of students because we are now building the new secondary school in Karasabai. And that will house how many students? 500 students.
Mr. President, the population between Tapachinga, Letem, Culver City, and St. Ignatius also is very large populations, especially Tapachinga area. And I think that the school will still be overcrowded, even though we can deal with places like Karasabai Secondary and so on being put into place. We will still have an issue of having an overcrowded school.
No, this is not to say we would not look at it. This is just to say
Understood.
that
I'm just trying to explain how big the population is now for us. The next thing on our agenda, which a lot of the Region 8 teachers also talked about, is the internet facilities. We do have the government Wi-Fi. However, this system has been down for the past 2 years.
1 second. I'm trying to find solution as we go by too, right? We have a building that we should be concluding acquiring. What's the name of the building?
The Eddie De Silva building.
It used to be a school, I think, too. The Eddie De Silva building.
I think I know what, in Culver City?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to say to education now that let us bring that building into immediate effect to support your school also.
Would this be an extension or would this be like a separate school? I'm asking
An
because we're
annex.
also looking at the students, because if it
An annex.
houses from grade 7 to 11, that might work.
It's in close proximity.
It can probably cater for the Culver City area.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm going to let education work with you on this so that we can move immediately into a second building.
It's kind of small, but yes, it can work to alleviate some of the challenges we have. Thank you for that solution, sir. As I was saying about the internet, the government Wi-Fi that we do have is not functioning. Personally, I have made application. I do have ticket numbers that was given to me for the technicians to come in and take a look at the system that we have, and that has not been done to date. And we are in dire need of some form of communication, being the central school.
1 second. Let's get the people from this NDMA here and let them meet with all the hinterland teachers before they leave and fix this problem. Let them work out a schedule on how to fix this problem. Call them over now. I want Harsewak himself to come. Yeah.
Thank you very much. In the issue of facilities, I know some schools might want to say that we're very fortunate to have 45 computer systems available, but with the school of our magnitude, with our grade 11s being over 100 students, when all of them are pursuing either EDPM or information technology at the CSEC level, this seems to be a challenge when it comes to competition for lab space. So even if it is that we can get about 15 more computers, which is 1 classroom, that should alleviate or be a solution to the issue that we have when it comes to computers at our school also. The next thing is poor housing infrastructure for our teachers. This is the teachers housing the buildings that were built for us. Some of them are older than I am. I am personally living in one of the apartments because I am a coastland teacher assigned to St. Ignatius Secondary. And I've been there for 3 years under the promise that my apartment will be fixed. Now, the apartments recently had an upgrade, like about a year or so. But this, as we were told as teachers by the contractors, these were for minor repairs, not extensive repairs. So even though now I have a kitchen that has a cupboard, I do have a roof that is I am in fear of it blowing off. Recently we had a storm, windstorm that is, and I woke up to my kids crying. The window pane, the facing for the entire window fall out on my children in their bed. So as a parent and as a teacher, this seems to be very, very detrimental into my feelings and my motivation being in the education system, because I was promised housing when I got there. And I do think that I deliver on my part as a teacher when it comes to curriculum and my students' needs. So if this can be looked into, it would be well appreciated, because I know not myself, but all other teachers that are in the hinterland are facing challenges. If it's not termite or pests, then it's something to do with the infrastructure itself, where the buildings are way too old for us.
In our region, we spent over $200 million so far on teachers' quarters. $200 million on repairs and rehabilitation of teachers' quarters. And that is not to say there's not much more to be done. There's a lot more to be done in Region 9.
We're actually building, they're one of the things that wouldn't fix ours, but this is one of the things we just spent on.
Then in St. Ignatius, they have the construction of a duplex teachers' quarter for $14 million. And the extension of St. Ignatius Secondary, $13 million. So this is all work that is scheduled here.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that. The next thing is, I have a concern as an information technology teacher who is passionate about information technology. I'm not sure if I'm probably overstepping my bounds here a bit, but I'm looking at the exam in which CSEC would normally administer to the information technology students. The EDPM students are previewed to a practical paper. Information technology being a pre-voc and a practical subject area is still being given, the students are being given a theoretical exam. Now, I raise this concern because the information technology field is practical, and we are training students for the work environment, which means at least with the productivity tools that we have, the students should be able to function within the work environment. Now, based on learning abilities of students, I personally did a research within my school, the grade 10s and the grade 11s, where I administered the same exam twice. My students managed to excel at the practical exam, and the theoretical exam, I had a lot of difficulties there. This is to say that some students function more in a practical environment, whereas the theoretical environment, writing and reading is their problem, probably comprehending. I shouldn't say reading, I should say comprehending, because some of them can read, but they're just calling words. To understand what they're reading is the issue, and we all know how CSEC structure their questions. Sometimes it proves a little difficult for the children. As teachers, we do try our best to prepare them for that exam, but if there's something that we can do to assess the subject area that these students are given that opportunity, even because we know with web design and programming, these might be a little bit too time consuming, but if we can have a practical test or a practical exam that can alleviate the 4 productivity tools, these are Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and database, I'm sure these students will be able to excel a lot better than what they normally do.
Okay. All right, so we have to be efficient too, right? Because we want to get everybody in. So we can't do a United Nations. We have to work together here, okay? You have to work with me. So let's try to confine our remarks to the core issues, okay, and move forward, all right?
All right, so the last on my list is the implementation of CVQ. We are not against this program, I should say that. We are in very much support of this issue. However, the implementation of the program brings a lot more to the plate when it comes to teachers. We are now asked to extend our time, and to prepare records. Some of us, like myself, are in school sometimes still late in the evening trying to prepare practical evaluations and records that are related directly to the CVQ program. The concern here, not just the concern, but maybe a suggestion, is that if teachers across the board can be offered some form of a stipend when it comes to CVQs, so that it can help to motivate us too when it comes to teaching these practical areas. My school alone carries 10 occupational areas for CVQ.
Because they're very practical thing, right? So they're doing skills. So it has been a complaint because they got a lot more work to do with CVQ kids.
What do you call it? Okay. Next.
Just an idea to what Miss was saying with the transportation costs for hinterland teachers. Being a hinterland teacher, transportation is also the issue for us in the Region 9. So one of the suggestions maybe if there can be probably a package put into place for not just hinterland teachers but all teachers across the board, where some form of a subsistence can be given when we are purchasing our own vehicles. Take for instance, in the hinterland areas, my vehicle is not really my vehicle, it's school property, because I have to take students to hospitals. I take students to and from school, some of them to help in the aid of them getting to school early. If there's an issue where documents need to get to the department or so on, we tend to do this using our own personal vehicles. Now, that's not the issue. The issue is, however, it's really hard to acquire a vehicle that is for that terrain. Now, in Georgetown, we can probably get one for 2.5 million, which is a regular vehicle. But then when we look at the SUVs or the four-wheel drives or these type of vehicle, the prices tends to go up. We can't use a regular vehicle that is on the laterite roads for our terrains because it's much more terrifying how we're driving. So we would like to have some sort of subsistence, whereas we can purchase those vehicles and not have to pay such heavy fees for those vehicles. Thank you.
We take these tables and now 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the second one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you guys want to go break and have your lunch while we continue? Huh? Okay, so then you can go and get your lunch and come back and we continue, right? So working lunch is that you eat and we work. So go and collect the food. All right, so you guys go and get your food, come back to the table, and then we continue, okay? With these tables.
You want anything? You want to bring anything here?
There are two, so I understand that Region 9 has not finished this yet, but I want Region 9 to understand that we have 9 other regions in the room who want to have lunch while we work. All right, so let's go together. Continue. So we have 2 buffets, one at the back, one at the side. Just join which one is closest to you. It's open house. There's no formality. Just get in the line. Thank you. So we're going to give some time for you to get your lunch and then come back and continue, okay?
Bring anything for you?
Can I
bring anything for you?
No.
My pants were too tight, I could barely breathe. I'm dead serious. I opened the side already.
I'm very familiar with that problem.
Matt, make sure to keep loading up the food and get enough food for people.
Let me just see how that's just
You hear? You didn't do the one curry? Listen, yeah. I'll tell Amanda to come for me. Amanda. had a meeting with yeah. So we're looking after the issues, don't worry. Y'all got the tickets? As much as I had to send you guys. Yeah, I always think about y'all. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I'll come over here. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay. I come in and visit you. When were you all doing this year for the agriculture month? Priya. Priya. Godfrey, you know him well. This is saying that Bishop Amilcar has two daughters as children, a boy and girl, as Bishop, and he's threatening them and everything. We should call him and talk to him. Right? So let's call him and phase of teachers who already have the allocation will address those issues now through this mechanism. All right? That is set with the allocation. So within 2 weeks, we'll move to have this big tent approach where we'll have the banks. We'll tell you before, we'll get a list of teachers. We'll tell you all that you have to walk with. You already have a pay slip. Miss can bring her husband and her pay slip. And so we get everything pre-approved. So when you come, you sign your loan off. We will help you with designs. The designs that we have at housing for different sizes of house. So if you want to use that design, you save that cost also. And as far as possible, we'll try to expedite the approval at the NDC levels and so on, right? So we'll work with that in 2 weeks.
We could start back, you know.
All right, are we ready to start back this section here? So let's proceed. Someone wanted a mic on this table, I think, when we stop. Region 9. Yeah. Well, you can pause and speak, right? Okay, we'll give someone else.
Mr. President, Minister of Education, Minister of Finance, Minister of Labor, fellow colleagues.
Walk forward, walk forward, walk forward. Yeah, go ahead now. Why am I giving that song?
Anthony Harris, DHM Santa Rosa Primary School, and I'll be speaking on some core issues after discussing with majority of the teachers from Maruca sub-region. First thing we have here, I must commend you, Mr. President, for taking that swift action just now to come up with that wonderful benefit for teachers on the hinterland. I have here as part of our issue, what about us in the hinterland who may not be interested in coming and living or applying for land out here? There are many of us who already have titles given to us from the village councils, but unfortunately, the bank doesn't recognize those things as collateral. So I'm begging if some agreement can be made to include us so that we too can benefit from that. With the council, I joined with my dear sister. She recommended that instead of the 4 years, she said 3 years. Mr. President, we from the Maruca sub-region, I know that most of my colleagues here may be in agreement with me that we're thinking of annual, every 1 year. Reason being, persons said that we should not be entitled to that because we have the 2 months break, July and August. But it may be so for the small schools, but when it comes to the larger schools, these teachers are out there almost throughout. If not in the school, they are on workshops. So whilst we have that 2 months period there, we're actually very busy doing schoolwork. Next, we have here early retirement in cases where it's not that we want or people may wish to retire, but because of certain circumstances. And we have 2 cases where we can make reference to right in Maruca, where we have 2 excellent teachers, but because of chronic diseases, they had to resign from the teaching job. Now, I don't know how many of us would reach their retirement age, but for those who may not, in the case of these two persons, they have resigned, and it was just the salary up to after 6 months, and it was cut. Now these two persons are living by the grace of God and the good deeds of neighbors. So I'm thinking that if, in the case where persons would have to retire or resign for certain situations or circumstances, then a package can be put in place for such persons. CPC, we heard our teachers talk about trained teachers, and I must commend the idea of starting online training for teachers in the hinterland. Now, we have a big issue in Morocco, and might be there in other places too, where at last month's heads meeting, last month, the head teachers of Morocco decided that we should not, or we would not be going forward with the new trainees because there are many things not in place. No center, transportation, fuel to bring the persons out, tutors. It's very, very difficult. This present batch who are in the second year, during the August holidays, they had that I would term it a crash course, because it was a second semester, and in 1 week they had to do that semester's work along with exams. Continuing in this way, I think we would be coming up with quantity but not quality. So moving forward, I believe that to get this properly done, all systems must be in place before we can go ahead and implement or start these persons who are expected to start today. The new trainees were expected to start today. Of course, they charged the head of center at Morocco there to write a letter. I don't know if he did same to the respective persons. Next, mental health for teachers. You know, I'm requesting that, I know that human resource, it's very, very limited, but if not all schools, most of the schools and the larger schools, I would recommend, be equipped with these persons to treat not only our learners, but our teachers too, because mental health affects all of us. So I would love to recommend that such persons be put in place to help us when the need arises. Mr. President and team, on sports, again, we in Morocco here, we have recently a large portion of land was cleared. Next 2 weeks, we are preparing for inter-schools. Unfortunately, we don't have a venue at this moment, because the one that we used previously, because of bad advice, some construction was done on it and made the place small. The one which was used last year, then presently construction is being done on a new pavilion. Now we've left with this new land. It's cleared, it's leveled to some extent. But moving forward, I think, or I'm begging on behalf of all from our area there, if some consideration can be given to make a huge sum of investment into that ground so that we can have, if not a state-of-the-art, a semi-state-of-the-art building, not building, but ground for us, so that our athletes from Region 1 can actually be benefiting from the same benefits as our counterparts out here. So these were the main issues which we were asked to speak on. So thanks very much for the listening ear.
All right, we're moving over here. Here? These tables? No one there? Yeah.
Pleasant afternoon, Comrade President, Minister of Education, other ministers of government. I am Colette Moria, a teacher, Cotton Tree Primary School, Mahaika, Berbice region. I am totally in agreement with salaries and that my colleagues would have mentioned, increasing salaries. And Sir would have mentioned just now about teachers retiring or would have resigned. But I want to say that teachers may teach for a number of years. And I think we should, the ministry can look into giving teachers, like when they would have approached a 20-year, giving them a percentage of their gratuity. So I think we can look into that. You can look into that. So we don't have to wait until our time, 33 1/3 or 55 years to have our gratuity. I also have some concerns for my school. At Cotton Tree, we are overcrowded. And so we have 2 buildings, and because of the position of those buildings, the one is in front, the concrete building is in front of the wooden building. It blocks the hair from going to the back. So the children are hot. And I know we are very thankful for the school grants, but we cannot buy the fans and so on because they are capital items. And so those are our needs at this time because we're hot and we're overcrowded. So we are, I'm saying that the ministry can look into extension of the building so that our learners can be comfortable and we can produce better results because our children would excel if they are comfortable. So those are my concerns.
What we will do is to look at that list of items that your grant can cover and see how we can expand it for you before the end of the week. All right?
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure fans can be covered. So.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. First of all, I must commend the government for everything they're doing for us. I'm a head teacher of Woolly Park Primary School, and just a few things we would like to see happening there so that we can be more comfortable. So it's a 2-structure building, the upper flat and the bottom flat, and there are no computer labs, no kitchenette, no canteen facility, and we will wish to have those in place. As was mentioned earlier, we know that the place is very hot, and we are desperately in need of funds. So we will be happy if those items, as we would have heard earlier, that those items might be included. So we're happy for that. Thank you.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. President, Minister of Education and other minister. Mr. President, I am happy this afternoon that you walk with the Finance Minister. You know, you said earlier we must share ideas in how we can go about improving the education all across Guyana. And one initiative I think should be rolled out in each school in the hinterland is the STEM program. We have children that don't like writing and don't like to be more open up. But with the STEM program, they can get involved in making the cars and moving them and all of that. We have a sense that since the incident with the dorms, a lot of parents are keeping away the children. And I would say it's wrapping that we have to head down in a road whereby we can teach the children life skills. And I believe it's a great initiative because some parents, it become a norm that they don't want the children to go far from them. So with the life skill, at least we're still teaching them something so that when they get older, they can equip themselves with a job. So if that program can start rolling out as soon as possible, we will be grateful for that. I didn't mention my name. I'm Lyndon Green from Arakaka Primary School, Region 1. Our school is in need of an urgent extension. It was built for 100 children, and presently we have 207. So if we can look at that, and that's from my end. Thank you very much.
We're taking these up to here, up to this table. Yeah, let's just go back. Let's go down, you'll come back.
Okay, pleasant good afternoon to everyone. All protocols observed. My name is Ryan Chan from Barbina Primary School, Region 1. Well, I would like to say thank you for all the initiatives implemented in the hinterland area. It has been beneficial, especially the nursery children with their tablets. It's been very helpful. One of our main concerns is that our REI, we usually got 9,000, a central area. The Riven area would have 12,500. We would like it to be raised and added to our salary every month because usually instead of the 6 months, we'll receive it till in the 9th month.
So that's the other thing. It's not what they get, it's when they get it. Not standardized across regions.
So one of our colleagues that say about having a medical person in school, we used to have the Red Cross people training us teachers to have the first aid taking part in school. We would like that to be happening again. As for duty-free concession, we like it to extend at least to an SAM because most teachers would usually finish their teaching career as an SAM. For the Region 1, we don't have a bank, so we cannot bank our money. It's very difficult. When we came out here, they would usually ask for proof of address. Even we gave them one from the regional chairman who is a JP, that doesn't be accepted. And in these days, we know we don't receive mails anymore. So we would like that to be ironed out because a lot of teachers are willing to join University of Guyana, which by we have to pay through a bank account. We don't have that. Access to internet, it's very difficult for us applying. Every time they keep sending us to re-upload, and we're just uploading but we're getting nowhere. So we would like that initiative to be outrolled in Region 1. A bank is very important. It can always save our money, which if we keep our money, yes, how long are we going to keep it? Especially when we're a teacher, our minds and our hearts always thought for our children. We go out to the extent, whatever the need of our children, whether it's at home or school, we take our money and buy. For the secondary schools, all secondary school, including primary school, I should say, we all need a laptop. Presently, I would say I'm without a laptop because of taking mine to school every day. We have to travel with vehicle like cruiser and the roughness of the road. mine got cracked and I cannot replace the screen until now. And I was taking my laptop every day to school to do admin work, which is very unfair. The teachers in the secondary schools use their own laptop to do children SBAs, and most obviously they ended up with viruses, which they have to fix by themselves. And teachers at our school, they are having this, not in our school alone, but they're contract teachers. We need to come off of this contract business because the public servants, they're on contract and they're entitled to gratuity. Teachers are not entitled to that, but we are contract workers. Then the teachers don't be paid during the August because they're on contract, which is unfair because we still attend workshops and we're still doing school business. And lastly, the redesigns of schools. I would like to recommend that when we're building schools, even if it's in the interior from now, we like our own classrooms. The TV is a very good initiative, but it's distracting the other classes because we're only separated by a blackboard. And for the Learning Channel, I must say thank you very much to Sir Marty. He has given his own innets to our school, and we are very grateful for that initiative from him and family. Thank you very much, Sir Marty. I would also like it to be in every schools, because in Mabrumo or in Region 1, we're having the access to innets, which provides us with the Learning Channel, and we'll also ask for a soft copy of the same materials on the Learning Channel. That's all. Thank you very much.
Let's keep going. The people from the hinterland especially, they don't have to repeat each other, right? Once it's said, it's recorded. All right? Don't keep repeating each other, otherwise we will not make much progress.
Good afternoon.
I can assure you, once it's said once, it's recorded, and you will see at the end of the meeting.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and head table. My name is Shondell St. Just, and I am from Pekira Nursery School. That is in Region 1 in the Matakai sub-region. The first thing about my school is I'm asking for my school to be fenced. I am also asking for some more tablets because we received 30 tablets, and the children of Pekira Nursery School, they're doing fairly well with that. So I'm asking, my enrollment is 74 to date, if we can get more so that each child can get. And I'm asking for the primary school now, which is over on the other side, if we can have a science lab and teachers for the secondary department. Thank you.
This table here.
Yeah, I really need. So he is the vice president of the European Hospital.
Mr. President, members of the head table, colleagues all, good afternoon to all. I share many of the concerns raised so far. I want to commend the Ministry of Education. I am Rabinath Budram, HM Aurora Secondary, and I am also the Regional Vice President, Guyana Teachers Union, the County of Essequibo. I share many of the concerns raised here during this morning session and this afternoon. I want to join in the call for weekly council to be given every 3 years. Many of our secondary school teachers here can attest to what I have to say. When it's crunch time for SBA, many of our teachers will take those SBAs home. I have 3 teachers in my home, and here the living room, the kitchen, even the bedroom have SBA in which they will mark. I am kindly asking if an allowance be given to the marking of SBA which varies directly to the amount a teacher has to mark. Duty-free, I am kindly asking if it's one in our lifetime at the moment. I'm kindly asking if it can be at least 2 where depends on the number of years we have to serve, and the years of service be taken into consideration holistically with primary, nursery, and secondary, because at the moment the nursery teachers are at a disadvantage. Many of our nursery teachers, the chances of becoming an SM and an HM is very small. So if we can take the years of service into consideration, I will be grateful. Thank you very much.
Go on. Yeah, look, anyone else? These tables, all the table in this section.
Head table, Mr. President. My name is Sandra Hercules, and I'm from the Cotton Field Secondary School, transferred from the Charity Secondary. I'm a home economics teacher, teaching for almost 25 years, home economics. And one of the problems I'm having is when it comes to practical. Home ec is a practical subject, and I find myself doing a lot of theory, talking. I'm talking home economics, simply because the students, when you say, well, look, we're going to have a practical next week, bring this, bring that for practical, the students turn up. Miss, we don't have this. Miss, you didn't give me that. So what I'm asking for, if a grant can be placed for the home economics to assist with the students at practical time. We have the CVQ program, which is a Caribbean Vocational Qualification. We do get monies allocated for that, but that's only for that class. We still have the grade 7, the grade 8, and especially the grade 11. A lot of students, when I encourage them to come to do home economics, they say, Miss, it's too expensive. Even the parents tell me that. They cannot afford for CSEC. Leading up to exam, the students have to have the skills. And so they do 13 practicals leading up to the exam, right? And sometimes you just skip the practical. I have one student now, whenever I say practical, she stays home for the rest of the month. So I stopped saying about practical. I say, please come and let's do this work, right? So I'm asking on that area if monies can be allocated or a grant for practical subject area for the home economics. That's my contribution, sir.
Here. His Excellency, Dr. Irfaan Ali, Honorable Minister of Education, Ms. Priya Manik-Chan, other distinguished members of the table, members from the Ministry of Education, colleagues all. I stand here this afternoon for us to say thanks for everything we have received in school. Teachers have become more comfortable in their classrooms, especially with the school grants. We are very happy for that. I forgot to tell you my name. Joan Bagwandas, HM Breeden Hoop Primary. Yes, now on the issue of salary. Whenever I hear a raise in pay, salary, I become worried, concerned. Because I know that when we get a raise in salary, when I go to the supermarket, I'm taking home less. So what I'm asking is that instead of giving us an addition to the salary, give us allowances, in whatever way. Mr. President, I know you said you have a package for us. Whatever that package is, You can make it in allowances and accessories. You know, when you're going out, you have on the nice dress with all the accessories. That package can come in the form of allowances and accessories. That's for salary. Now in the classroom, I'm asking that instead of printing exercise books, if we can have workbooks. I don't know if that is possible, but I'm begging. Instead of doing exercise books, we want workbooks. Like I said, I don't know if it's possible, but I'm begging. Thank you so much.
Mr. President, Minister of Finance, Minister of Labor, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I think the last time I visited State House was when our late President Cherry died.
Oh, Lord.
And
I can say a prayer quietly, why?
And to be at the State House today, it's a privilege. And I'm quite sure our head teachers will join with me in extending our thanks and gratitude to you. Recently, I went to a week in Agriculture Road, and when I arrived, I saw the president playing dominoes. And the people with me said, yes, that's our president. And only last week, Sunday, I went to the CPL, and I saw the president and the people taking pictures and people saying, this is our president. And today I'm listening to the concern of our head teachers and our teachers throughout Guyana. And I'm quite sure our president will respond. It was so good to see the Honorable Priya Manik-Chan, Minister of Education, visiting Region 3 a couple of weeks ago. And honestly, when she brought those boxes, I really thought it had something to do with GCOM. But I was very surprised, and it was a great surprise. And I'm glad to hear we're the end table here. By the end, we can buy fans. And I'm very pleased to hear that we can buy fans. I'm quite sure we're going to go.
Fans, whiteboard, all these things will be added.
Beautiful, beautiful. I am from Region 3, Harinarayan, West Amara Secondary School. When I saw the head teacher of Saints stood and she spoke, I know our president was a student of St. Stanislaus College. But our president is from Region 3. And I'm sure while our president is looking across the length and breadth of this country, our president may make Westdem President's College. I'm saying this because Westdem, or the West Amara Secondary School, I'm here with my HOD, Mr. Richard Suku, and we are all concerned with mathematics.
Yeah.
And everyone would have asked about teachers, and I want to go back a little bit with our students. Our school this year, and I'm not going to mention our national performance in mathematics.
96%. 96% pass. Right?
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
That is why we're taking you.
Yes, sir.
And a few other teachers who had this record across the country. And we're putting you in a special program where you will develop an entire training manual for the teachers, and you will develop the same method you use to achieve 96% to be shared across all the schools countrywide. And what I want us to discuss, I was telling Cabinet one day, I want to personally put a prize up for a school that makes the greatest jump in mathematics in the next CXC, the greatest increase in mathematics. So if you're at 96% and you go to 100%, and a school is at 35% and move to 50%, that school still did better than you. Because we must also challenge ourselves. We have to tell the population that we are willing to put our mouth where our requests are. And if we can say that if we take mathematics, what is it now? 39%. If we take mathematics nationally from 39% to 75%, then we can link some incentive to that nationally, because this is a collective effort. That is why we have to get the best, and the best sometimes we all have the same skill but different method, and that method might be working. So if we can get all our children to have exposure to that method, maybe that is what is needed. So I'm very happy that you're raising this, because it's part of what I want to address also.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, but I'm sure you will want to recognize West Dem for its effort in 2023. Coupled with that, Mr. President, is that our English result has been very consistent this year, 99.9%.
Overall pass rate, 99%?
Not to forget that we are in our third year of CAPE, and our students are doing very well also in the area of the Caribbean Proficiency Examination. I want to thank our CEO who would have helped us to push this program.
But that's a big point you're making, and I keep making this point. I know sometimes we get caught up celebrating the top 10 and top 100 and top 20. And sometimes in celebrating that, which we must do, it does not allow us to celebrate bigger numbers. For example, when you look at the overall pass rate in some schools, that is the evenness, when you speak about equality and evenness. You have some schools where the overall pass rate is 97%. And schools where you have this 10 people in the top 100, overall pass rate is 87%. It tells me something different the teachers are doing, because there might be a focus across the board than a focus of getting into the top 100. And in your case, for example, with math and English, in science, I know, for example, I know this because I met the chairman of the board this morning. I think your overall pass rate was what, 97% for CXC? And bishops, you also have a high overall pass rate. How much? 96%. And many schools across the country, they...
I want to show you this. This is pass rate. Don't worry about matriculation. I Charlton moved from 22 to 67 in 2022.
Right, so look at this, for example. I Charlton Secondary moved from 22%, this is overall pass rate, from 2022, from 22% to 67% in 2023. Anai Secondary moved from 19% in 2022 to 58% in 2023. Sand Creek Secondary moved from 15% to 66%. St. Ignatius from 7% to 52%. Karasabai, 7% to 53%. So this is the numbers that mean a lot to me. Because at the end of the day, we have to celebrate the outstanding, the great, outstanding students. But the movement of the total is very important, right? And that is why your point is spot on.
Thank you, Mr. President.
700 more people this year.
So we are currently having a 6-room extension at West Dem, and we are appealing for 4 more for theater arts and music. West Dem is only one of 2 schools that were registered this year, or I should say last year, academic year, for music. And so for physical education, theater arts, music, we wish if some more rooms can be added to West Dem. I'm hearing this through the grapevine, but I hope it becomes a reality. Mr. President, I have noticed, and I'm coming back to mathematics, that over the years we have been procuring the checkered line exercise book for school children. I wish, and I did had discourse with members of the education sector, if we can have graph books being procured for mathematics, even at the common entrance level, so we can have this accessible to students. Because at the last science fair, mathematics science fair, we did not go with an intention to win, but to carry a message that we need to procure checker line exercise books, the graph books instead, or with the checker line exercise books. I'm hearing this coming. I was at the last meeting, I raised this with our Honorable Minister. I remember some years ago, we had a package of past mathematics paper, geometry sets, and calculators. And I hope that very soon or very short, this initiative will go back on board so we can improve mathematics throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. To come back to our teachers, we have heard a lot about Whitley Council, and I know you will consider that, the non-salary benefit, housing, etc. I just want to raise one of 2 points. Let's say one. When the cash grant is being dispersed, the head teacher is involved, the teachers are involved, and it's a sad moment when teachers see sometimes the amount of money being spent on students, and especially those 1-2 envelopes that are returned to the department, and sometimes they feel, oh, we didn't get anything of this, all of this money. But they would have sweat that day, they would have worked that day, they would have taken the burden that day, but they are going home, but just with a little snack that was given to them, which is good sometimes.
This is not only a mathematics teacher, you know. This man will do well at Cultural Center. You know?
And so quickly, sometimes I think about, what about if we slash students teacher cash grant? And that will be a massive treat to our teachers. Our teachers will feel good. We will work hard. Mr. President, harder. I will stop to say
I see the English is perfect in the room.
I'm pleased with all the development in education, more schools being built, the cash grant, for example, and other incentives given here and there for teachers. I must commend you and commend the ministry. We're not talking oil and gas today. What we know about our GDP as compared to many countries in the world, we know the development that is coming to Guyana. But I know you, Mr. President, will commit yourself to improve the lives and the standard of living of all teachers in Guyana. Thank you very much.
All right, so I have 30 minutes more to my next meeting. We have to do this entire section. I'll try to press it past 30, but I also want to give members of the union an opportunity also, because we invited the union to be part of this consultation. So if members of the union are here, I'll give you preference to the floor now. If you can stand up so we can recognize the members of the union who want to speak, because we will give you preference now and then come back to the floor. Are we okay with that? Okay, so please take the mic and then we come back to the floor. The members of the union, let them speak. Maybe they can cover more of what you want to say, and then we go back to the floor. Executive members, sorry, because many of you are members. Regional, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Your Excellency, members of the head table, colleagues in education, staff of this facility who has feted us and treated us with a lot of dignity today. Let's give it up for the hardworking people. Pleasant good afternoon. My name is Imran Ali. I'm currently the head teacher of the Skeleton Line Secondary School. I'm also an executive member of the Guyana Teachers Union. That's the chairman and general counsel rep of the central quarantine branch on the current, well, of course, that's East Barby's quarantine. So I'm delighted to be here, and I'm very happy for this opportunity that presents educators across this country the forum to air their issues affecting education in its entirety. So not exclusively from the union's perspective, because I'm also here in my capacity as a head teacher. And many of the issues that I will address, it pretty much overarches with respect to the Ghana Teachers Union as well. So we've had the sentiments and of course the reports of a lot of issues that's currently permeating the system that needs addressing. So I want to deal with the issue of teaching and learning classroom. On the issue of ventilation. So with global warming and of course, Your Excellency, you did articulate well as to the challenges of GPL and you've made some recommendations. So I want to endorse that and to say that instead of going the way of electric fans, when schools are held, classes are held during peak hours 1 to 3, sorry, we've got to start looking at long term to combat the intense heat in our classrooms. And maybe we need to start looking at alternatives. So one, I have two recommendations. One, that we start with the insulation. Insulation of our classroom walls, insulation of our ceilings, which is going to keep out much of the UV ray radiation, and of course that can bring down tremendously the temperature, make the temperature of our classrooms a little bit more habitable. So with many of our schools, I mean, we've got to be honest with ourselves. They were designed in a different era. So the architecture is pretty much of a challenge. So when we're looking at maybe our rehabilitation programs and so on, we've got to look, especially with our capital and current budget, that we start looking at having to install these buffers against the tremendous heat, the radiation, that insulation pretty much that we're experiencing. Secondly, that we can explore installation of extractor fans. We have these that are wind-propelled, mechanized extractor fans. Of course, science will tell us that warm air rises. So the warm air from the lower classroom, the lower flats, obviously, once the cool upstairs is cooler, with the extractor fans, we can have much of that unwanted temperature out of the classroom. So that's in relation to ventilation. Two suggestions, recommendations going forward. The other recommendation, yes, so the other recommendation is in relation to our indicative years in terms of planning for our recurrent budget. That each school, a comprehensive condition survey be done by our technical people. I know education, Guyanese, we have a lot of brilliant minds. And so this will be like a walk in the park. I have some expertise, you can consult me. And that we do a comprehensive in terms of electrical, plumbing, classroom environment, which will make our recurrent expenditure on point. So when the region comes to the schools to effect and to execute or have to budget for 2024, they're budgeting against a condition survey, and so that maybe over a period of 5 years, we can have all of the issues being addressed incrementally. The other issue is that of hydration. Madam Minister, I see you're very passionate about this. We've got to be mindful of the environment in which we're operating. And so the children have to be rehydrated. Teachers, as adults, we're having a difficulty having to cope with these tremendous circumstances. And so bottled water is an expense by itself. I have a design that is approximately the worth of it. If we were to execute one of these in any of our schools, it will cost the government approximately $370,000.
We on top of that, we are now moving on a massive countrywide program along the coast within 3 years to have 3 to 4 years to have all our water, that is more than 90% of the population along the coast having access to treated water. So it
Awesome.
will be good off the top. So
Wonderful, wonderful, Mr. President. That's visionary thinking, because potable drinking water is an essential for our learners outside of the classroom setting and the comforts of the classroom. All right, so we're moving on. The STEAM anti-vet program. The STEAM anti-vet programs, I'm asking that we move aggressively to have a resuscitation of many of the laboratories in our technical and secondary institutions. Maybe in many cases, we've got to ensure that these facilities are retrofitted with the advanced and, of course, pieces of equipment, machinery that we need to advance the program. In many schools, much of the equipment are pretty much obsolete. And this is, we've got to be honest with ourselves. We try to make do, but in contemporary knowledge, if we're going to advance contemporary skills, it has to be against having the right kinds of equipment and all of that. So I'm asking for those to be, for that to be addressed indicatively as we go along. Mr. President, please allow me, let me also take this opportunity to endorse your view and sentiments. It's something I would have raised with the Honorable Minister at our distribution of the school's cash grant, and that is having a national award system, to recognize the growth and the development and the outputs of our list B, C, and D schools, of course, across the board. We've got to acknowledge by way of merit. And so whether it's going to be incentivized or that a program is going to come on board where these schools can be recognized nationally among our top 1% and all of those other persons who excel, the list A schools. So it doesn't add to, it lends for motivation. It recognizes the hard work and the dedication of those persons who every day toil with children who are obviously of a different challenge. So I just want to echo the sentiments too of a sister who talked about, I just want, if it could be coined, the one device per teacher program. One device, I'm not saying laptop. This government did extremely well with the one laptop per family. I'm saying we can have a program, a one device per teacher program. And if the preference is a cell phone, a smartphone, whatever the gadget is, maybe it's at the preference of the individual so that they can keep up with the technology pretty much in terms of their planning and execution in the classroom. And of course, a lot has been said in respect to where we are when it comes to remuneration. I've heard quite a few speakers talking about that package, and that of course the package should address much of the non-salaries benefits that we've been asking for. And so I don't want to go the route, but I just want to remind Your Excellency, of course, Madam Minister, and other members, key officials, key ministers of this government, that the union has tabled on several occasions its multi-year proposal, and that it is our intention that we will have that conversation, that dialogue, to ensure that we can, in as much as We have already started to see many of the requests or the demands being acceded to. We're still hoping that we can dialogue, we can have the conversation, the engagement in a very non-partisan manner.
That's why we're here all together.
Very well.
Very
And we're
open.
happy for
You can't want it
the
more open than
opportunity.
this, and the union was invited to this also. I can't be more open than this.
And we took the opportunity.
So
Thankful for the invite.
We have to be very open about this whole thing. I can't be more open with this. I invited not only union but the teachers, and I've allowed everyone to speak frankly what they want to speak, beyond any three-year agreement or any proposal, because I said from day one that I believe in a much broader approach to these things, and that is the reason we had invited the teachers, representation of the teachers, and also the union.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
I like to speak directly to people.
And
I understand that when you have transmitters,
The
depends
message
on who's
get distorted.
transmitting, the message gets distorted a lot.
Correct.
That is why you will see me on Facebook a lot speaking directly to people and allowing people to chorus me directly too. Right? Good.
Fruitful engagement can result in fruitful ending. So grateful for the opportunity, colleagues
Thank
all. Happy to be here. Thank you very much.
So we go back now to the floor. The young lady with a pink phone. Is pink or purple?
Your Excellency, Madam Minister of Education, head table, colleagues, good afternoon. I am Nayed Gill. I'm from the new Diamond Grove Primary School. And I have just a few concerns that I want to raise. But before I raise what I have written here, when the head teacher from West Dem spoke, I thought about what the President said in his initial statement about how we can improve our education system. And one of the things that I think is lacking greatly is reading. I'm almost about to leave the system, and I still have not seen an aggressive approach to reading, especially in the primary schools. I'm working with grade 6 children, and after doing the 1-minute test, I have almost half of my class in the lowest tier. And that I think is troubling. So I believe that one of the things that needs to happen at the grade 1 level, if the child has not attained a pass mark in grade 1, an aggressive approach needs to be had to get that child up to standard before promoting that child to grade 2. Because what we are doing is just passing the problem on. And it's gonna have a domino effect. It's gonna affect the secondary schools, etc. So I think that's one of the things that needs to be done. As it relates directly to our school, of course, you know we are in a developing area, the Diamond Grove area. And so that poses an overcrowding problem. Right now we have about 9 grade 3s occupying 5 classrooms, which means 2 classes are sharing a room with a chalkboard separating them. I think that spells for a lot of disaster. So I think that's one of the things that needs to be addressed. So what I think the government needs to do, or I guess maybe they have thought about it already, is to build a brand new school in that area. I see a hospital is going up. I think we need another school in the primary school in that area so that we can take off some of those children.
That's on the cards.
Thank you. There was a new building constructed in the new Diamond Grove compound just before the pandemic. And that building has not yet been handed over. We're occupying it, but it hasn't been handed over, which means it's not painted, it has not been furnished. But teachers are trying to make best use of it at this moment. So I'm kindly asking if the Department of Education can expedite the process and get that building painted and furnished with at least some cupboards so the teachers can have places to put their materials. I think, yes, one last thing. I think somebody across the room alluded to it, but I would recommend that schools that are now being built, because those that are already built, there's nothing that can be done about those. But schools that are now being built, that they be built with an auditorium so that we can have our assemblies, or we develop a covered area on the outskirts so we can have our assemblies. What I noticed some schools do out of Guyana is in the auditorium, they have these movable screens. So you can just move the screens, have your general assembly, and then you pull them back and you have your classrooms. So that's something I believe that the government can look into as it relates to having our children a little bit more comfortable than they are. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Your Excellency, our Honorable Minister of Education, members of the head table, other officials from the Ministry of Education. I'm Lal Tapal, HM, Montrose Primary School. Minister of Education, we want to say thank you from all of us of Region 4. The cash grant is here. For years, we have kept receiving stocks from the Department of Education. And myself and former Redo, who is ACO Secondary, Ms. Tiffany Favorite Harvey, would spend some way hours planning. And Ms. Tiffany would say to me, sir, all the C grades cannot get the same money because they have different enrollment. And if Ms. can remember that. And we came and we said, you know what, something has to be done. Because we have some C grades which have enrollment of 200, and we have some C grades have enrollment of 400. So Minister, thank you from all of us of Region number 4. The cash grant is here. Also, I would like to say it's the first time in the history of our country that we have a WhatsApp group where CEO and all the head teachers of our country can engage at any time of the day. If there is an issue, we can put it on the group and our CEO would immediately respond. It doesn't matter what time and which day. So I want to say thank you to our CEO.
I already have a prayer group too. You got a prayer group too?
At Montrose Primary School.
Good afternoon.
I'm kindly asking, as one of our colleagues said, it's very hard to fix now.
About the anomaly and the $700 million that will be released in the October salary. We spoke this October. I spoke about the mechanism we'll put in place for those teachers with land and those who would have started building, the support in the steel and cement for the foundation and the loan. But there are 35 issues that were raised outside of the individual issues with the schools. Those we're going to take separately. But what I can say to you is that in every school where there is overcrowding, we're going to work on that as priority into giving the extensions to those schools in a new budget process. Secondly, we're going to make available the list of teachers' quarters in the hinterland that requires fixing based on the audit and the dorms, so that you will all be aware as to what is being done and when it's being done. Thirdly, we're going to complete I know the Ministry of Education is doing this, but we're going to complete the infrastructure audit of all the schools and all the educational facilities, including recreational facilities across the country. So we'll have a gap analysis as to what has to be done, and in a prioritized way, we will definitely address those issues. I want to, before I go into the 35 issues, compliment the senior staff and the staff generally of the Ministry of Education for the very proactive and progressive work that they're doing, and the direct way in which you're now connected to the schools and the head teachers. I want to really commend you for that. I want to commend all the teachers here for not using this forum only for yourselves, but for truly using this forum to represent the children and the community and the schools that you serve. I think you deserve a resounding round of applause for this. So if I may summarize some of the things that you want me to take into consideration in a menu of measures that we'll seek to implement to better the teaching condition and to better your own welfare. I want to summarize some of these things. One is that there was a proposal for a one-off cash grant to teachers at the end of the year. A second proposal that spoke to a tax-free December salary. One that spoke to an end-of-the-year bonus of some sort. We spoke about the maintenance program for schools. We spoke about allowances, looking at allowances instead of gross salary that gives you a additional net benefit. Some of it include clothing, etc. We spoke about a program to address learning difficulties within the school system and counseling services in some schools. We're going to have an assessment of that. Region 8, well, the hinterland, the connectivity issue, we brought Harsewak. Where's Harsewak? He's at the back there. He will stay back with you after this meeting to speak specifically to you about these issues. Moving with the council years from 4 years to 3 years, there was some exuberant suggestion about annually, but I think generally there is a proposal to look at it every 3 years and for it to be constant in terms of the time frame that is being paid. We had a few persons spoke about a welfare card system to give some benefits directly to teachers when you're purchasing your stuff. Special education, special needs education. You spoke about services, water, health, electricity, recreational facilities. We spoke about the snack program being extended to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. For the hinterland, we spoke about transportation and allowances like for gas and so on. These are all that you raised with me. We're gonna see how we address a comprehensive nature of all of these things. Transportation allowance, support in terms of owning your own personal transportation. We spoke about home ownership. We spoke about teachers' facilities, taking modern needs into consideration when we design schools. We spoke about stipend for vocational work that you do and stipend for additional responsibility. You raised the issue when you distribute the grants and so on. Maybe looking at the totality of all the additional work you do, whether maybe you can look at an annual stipend to cover all of that. Looking at the titles from villages to be used as collateral for loans in the hinterland, that was raised. The progressive payment of gratuity, that is 20 years, you can have an advance on your gratuity. That was raised by some teachers. Well, the classification of expenditure under the grant, we dealt with that. The STEM program, the increase of hinterland allowance for teachers who are stationed in the hinterland community from the coast. Training in force response, you said force aid, but force response services. A duty allowance for marking of SBA, well, that comes under the responsibility allowance. You spoke about relooking at the duty-free concession criteria to look at number of years that you serve in addition to the, your job description and your title. Well, the home economics practical, we spoke about having grant to support the practical aspect of home economic students and so on. Generally, the issue of allowances across the board versus salary increases. Workbook versus the excise books. Stipend for teachers. doing additional, well, we spoke about that. Design modification. Well, I spoke about the conditional survey, the infrastructure survey across the board, and the resuscitation of labs, and incremental increases by qualification set, that is degree, master's, PhD programs, specialized education, for example, special needs and so on. We spoke about the remedial program that is linked to the No Child Left Behind policy. So I think I covered most of what has been mentioned in different categories. If there is something that I did not cover that anyone want to raise, please put your hand up and raise it now, please. So we covered it in totality. Yes, ma'am. The what?
Asking if we could get a home built in the Matakai sub-region to put children who would be neglected by their parents.
We have to, this is, the list I read out here is not the individual requests. The request for the schools and everything is on the next list that the technical people have documented. This is dealing specifically with school and teachers' welfare, children and teachers' welfare, a broad umbrella, right? So that will be under the next list that was generated. So what I'll ask now, we have already made some decisions on some of the things that we will move immediately on and within 2 weeks. Now that I have a full understanding directly from you as to what your priorities are, I am now in a better position to come up with a holistic approach to how we deal with the welfare of teachers and students together. So in the coming weeks, I'll be going through this with the numbers. Of course, everything is a function of money with the cabinet, and then we will come up with some proposals and move towards some announcement as to how we can marry your aspirations with our reality so that we all can be comfortable. Are we together on that? All right then. Thank you very much for your time. I am really pleased with the way you represented not your interests, but represented the nation's children's interests. You represented the community interests and the way in which you weaved your own interests, but how you linked it to the children's interests. I think it is under this type of umbrella consultation and mechanism that we get the best out of each other. So I'm very grateful for the hours that I've spent with you. I thank you for your time. For those who came from very far off regions, I thank you for your time and commitment. Thank all of you. I wish you all a safe journey back home. And I wish you God's blessing. And may He continue to strengthen all of us, all of you especially, in the work you continue to do in making our country a better place and the people of our country better human beings. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Let me also thank Minister Manny Chan, Ashley Singh, Joe Hamilton, the technical staff of the ministries, and my own technical staff, and all the very fit young men you see who are recruits in the Guyana Police Force. You see them there? They're going to be writing your ticket when you speed. So I want to thank them for supporting our teachers. Many of them came through your own hands. So thank you very much.
This guy here with glasses.
Let me take this.
Look, sir. No, no.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm sorry.
Watch. Take it down. Yeah. We like it. Good, right. I'm going to watch it, right? Mm-hmm. If I go to the shit, take that. But I said do everything what they say.
Come, wait. My turn. We got one of these.
Excuse me, ma'am, you have a picture?
Yes. Oh, you're not coming to the line.